So welcome to another of our Peachy Conversations. I'm Kerry, Senior Consultant at Peachy Mondays. And today we are talking to Greg Uglioni, transformation practitioner, customer experience, global thought leader, and author and successful podcaster, the CX goalkeeper, as you'll see on his very nutty baseball cap there. Today we're going to be talking about the importance and the connection between customer experience and employee experience, so bringing these two worlds together. But firstly, Greg, I would love to just hear a little bit more about you. So tell us a bit about yourself, what your background is, your passions, and what kind of work do you do?
First of all, Kerry, thank you very much for this invitation. I really love to have these discussions, and I'm really keen to start this discussion together with you. I am Greg, and I think you already shared everything about me. Therefore, in a bit different way, I have two passions. One is transformation, human-centric transformation, and the second one is soccer or football, what you see in my background. And what I did is I put them together. I have a daily job. I am working in an hospital, leading the digital transformation. In my spare time, when I'm not with my son, I am working as CX goalkeeper to bring us all one step further in transformation, leadership, and customer experience.
Fascinating. So you're working in a hospital and transformation at the moment. That must be quite intense, is it, as a role?
It's super interesting and thrilling because it's really, we are doing that for a clear purpose.
Yeah.
We want to simplify the life of our employees, nurses and physicians in order to give better experiences to patients. And that's not only, it's not selling an insurance, not creating a new bank account. Sorry for everybody listening to this podcast. I don't want to be unpolite, but it's really about our life. And therefore we need, they really need often to decide between death and life. And therefore it's different, and the emotional side is much bigger than what I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, fantastic. And we've previously done a couple of a roundtable and a blog just about how connecting to purpose, that kind of bigger purpose, drives so much engagement in people as well, kind of when it literally is, like you say, life or death.
Exactly.
So first question for you then. Obviously I kind of said we're talking about the connection between employee experience, customer experience. Kind of feels like customer experience as a field, as like an area of interest and research came a bit before the employee research. But what would you say, customer or employee first in life?
I think I could now start playing with words and discussing about the definition of customers, but I think it doesn't make sense at the moment. The question that you ask is quite clear. Customer and employees are human beings, and we are human beings. And often most of us are at the same time employees and customers. And therefore it's important to discuss and understand this a bit better. And I always use an example. How would be the customer experience, the end customer experience for customers if the employees would be demotivated, would not go really happy to working, and they had no good idea, and they would see the time with the customers as wasting their time? I think there will be no good customer experience. And therefore, I think it's really important to start from the employee experience, because the employees are the people that we hired as businesses to work to create these experiences. And if you are working in a contact center, you have direct connection and direct discussion with customers, then it's quite easier to understand how it's working. But if you are working in accounting or in an innovation team, or also in HR, you are the mean to the customer. It means everything what you are doing in this company is at the end for the customer, because there will be no business without customers. Therefore, we need to really, I use only one word and we can discuss on that, empower our employees to do their best to achieve this successful customer outcome.
I really like what you said there about it's human experience. So categorizing us into an employee or a customer is probably not all that helpful. It's just like, what is the experience with what we're doing? Just for anybody who's like new to this field, Greg, do you have a nifty little explanation of what customer experience and employee experience is? Is there a way that you can describe it just for anybody who's new to it?
But let's do a simple example. Let's take a child or a son or a young boy, a young lady going out and willing to play at these playing grounds that there are outside. If all the games they place would be broken, if there would be a lot of waste around, and nobody would go there. Nobody would like to be there. And therefore, you need to create this context where your customer are happy to come, are willing to join, are willing to spend time there. Customer experience is a growth strategy from my point of view. Customer experience is not something fluffy, but customer experience, it's important to get new customers, to retain the existing customer. If it's done well, it reduces cost and it ensures to have the risk under control. And therefore, I think this would be a simple example, and the same is for employee experience. Let's take exactly the same example. If you don't motivate your customer, and as you said, Kerry, if you don't have a vision, a mission where your employees can say, yes, I want to do that, I want to achieve that, doesn't make sense from my point of view.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing, isn't it? So how do you attract new employees? How do you retain new employees? So same steps, and I guess what differs is the experience in the middle, or the steps in the middle. So on that note, what would you see the biggest differences between customer experience and employee experience being, or the human experience of work and the human experience of being a customer purchasing something?
I think there are a lot of similarities, but as employees, you take the proactive decision to start the relationship with your employer, with the business. And therefore, there should be a stronger relationship. Because nowadays, it's clear younger generation are changing often their job, but they are accepted. And I think there are a lot of similarities, but for employees is even more important. The vision, the mission, the strategy, feeling part of something, feeling part of offering these services or offering this product is much more stronger than only buying that for the first time and then thinking about, shall I buy again, or I go to the next one.
So big difference is that kind of length of connection. Yeah, because you could be an employee. Well, my last place of work, I was there 19 and a half years. So that's 19 and a half years of experience. But I've never spent 19 and a half years with a particular brand or buying something. That being said, though, when I think about some of my most important purchasing decisions, let's say phone, laptop, the technology that I use a certain brand for that. And because it all fits together seamlessly, right? And I think about most of my employee experiences have not been like that. So they've not been designed to fit with each other, to talk to each other. So that is sometimes a challenge. Is that something you kind of come across with the difference between customer and employee experience as well?
Clear. I think what you're saying is what we are all facing if we use one brand for our mobile phones and as a laptop. Basically, technology is the mean. And let's take an example, for example, from customer service as contact centers. Often I see companies focusing extremely on the customer experience. They provide, let's say, a fancy app where a customer can see everything, can find everything. They have all the functionalities that they need. And on the other side, the contact center agent or representative being there and using 7 different tools to find out the name of the customer, which products the customer has, and the system is loading in the meantime. And I already saw companies where the customer have information quicker than the employees. There is only it was an example with a 15 minutes delay, but it was meaning the customer called the agent and the agent was not aware of what was happening because of this 15 minutes delay.
Yeah.
And therefore, often companies extremely focus on the customer experience, forgetting who is delivering this customer experience. You said, for example, with your laptop that perhaps is not always working, you are also there to deliver an experience. And the same is for the contact center agent, contact center representative working there using old-fashioned system, trying to put all the information together, but focusing on the human being on the other side, trying to communicate, being empathetic and so on, and it's not possible. And therefore, technology is extremely important, is the mean to deliver these experiences, and often companies focus on the customer, forgetting that there is a middleman.
I guess, Greg, it's
and
kind
of
we're talking about employee experience and customer experience, like an organization is already looking at it, right? And they kind of know how to begin. But for those organizations who kind of say, yes, we want a great experience, but they haven't necessarily started the work, what kind of advice would you have for those companies about how do you actually build an experience strategy?
Thank you. I think this is really a key topic nowadays because companies are in this transformation. They are doing a lot of different projects. And I see companies that are, for example, focusing on different projects. On one, they are trying to standardize everything for the customer. On the second one, they want to highly personalize the experience. And on the third one, they are doing something different. And therefore, what you mentioned is the key. A company needs a strategy because it's not a customer interacting once with marketing, once with operations, and one with IT. The customer see the company, the business as a whole, and therefore they need a strategy that they offer or experience strategy that they offer to their customer. Often, companies use 3-4 words to define that. It should be visionary. I want our experience to be seamless, to be highly personalized, to be standardized, to be this and that. You can use 3 adjectives and describe that. And based on that, you should inspire and motivate your employees creating these experiences. This is one piece on the experience strategies. The second one is when you have defined that and you start working on that, you need also KPIs related to this vision that you have to measure the impact. We are always here to have an impact to the customer. All the slides that we are producing are nice and fancy, but the customer doesn't feel any change. And therefore, it's important. It's important to find how do we want to be remembered? How can businesses differentiate themselves and stand out in the business? And the third piece about experience strategy, it's really execution. I saw a lot of nice strategies. We want to do this, we want to do that, but really in the execution, they were not able to do that. A company, without mentioning names, spent millions of euros or dollars to create this experience strategy. They had really a nice wall with all possible moves and change, and the customer is moving from this touch point to that and so on, but the execution was not possible. And therefore, it doesn't make sense at all. And while you're working on the vision, on the KPIs, on how you want to differentiate yourself, and on the execution, don't forget to communicate within the companies. Explain what you're doing, explain what you're achieving. Don't forget to inform the contact center if you're launching something. Don't forget to involve marketing if you're doing something, because they have smart ideas how to communicate that, and so on. And therefore, all the communication internally is extremely important.
So you mentioned, Greg, about kind of mapping it out, like an organization kind of mapping everything out there. How important is it, do you think, at the beginning of a or as part of the strategy for customers and employees to come together to map out what exactly happens now? Is that quite a common thing to do?
It's key. A lot of companies start involving customer in the end phase. After the design, after they created the product, they want to test the product with customer. This is far too late. I'm really, really sorry, but it's extremely important. There are different frameworks. I often use human-centered design. You start involving customers from the beginning. You have an idea and you start checking with them is something that it's important. Or even one step back, collecting customer feedbacks and improving what customers are telling you, but involve them from the beginning. You have a lot of feedbacks and start working with them. And then you can create and co-create together with customer. You will find outstanding solution that we are not thinking about that you can then bring to the market. And this is incredible because, sorry to say, you have free of charge consultants working together with you, working for you to create amazing experiences. And at the end, these are exactly the people that they are then going to buy your product, are spreading the word of mouth about your products or your services. And therefore, please, please involve them from the beginning. I know there are some industries where it's not possible, but if you have a way to do that, and it's not because your boss doesn't want to involve customer, then start involving them as soon as possible.
Yeah. And I've worked on some transformation programs before that's had customer feedback kind of fed into it. So it's like been a drip of feedback and NPS scores and things like that. And I've experienced it where the current designers of processes and systems have been very resistant to that feedback, almost like the opposite of the customer is always right. Are there any tips or techniques that you have for like bringing employees along on that journey and helping them make changes rather than being defensive about them?
I think at the end we need really to open up our mind. One word that came to my mind is agility. Also in the agility frameworks, you are involving customer from the beginning. At the end, every employee wake up in the morning and want to do something good for the company, for the customers, and then motivating them, explaining them that working together with customer will help achieve better results, then will quickly improve and bring everybody on the right direction. Back to what we discussed about experience strategy. If you have the vision, if you want to achieve that, you engage the employees, you empower them also to speak with the customer, to get the feedback and elaborate on the feedback and create this solution, then it will work. And what I see and I often suggest to companies is start small. Please start small. Start doing the first small improvements. You can create then several ways success internally because you change something and you see that it's working, and then you get additional support from the top management, from the stakeholders, in order to continue this human-centric transformation. From the customer, because you get positive feedback, and it's quite nice that you do something with feedback, you implemented that, and then you get a nice feedback from the customer. Oh, thank you that you did that. Oh, I am using that, and by the way, 10 of my colleagues are using also that. And therefore, starting small, creating the movement, the community around that, and bringing then these results will help achieving bigger things.
Yeah, I love that, because it doesn't have to be expensive either, that first thing, doesn't it? It might just be a change of how you greet a customer, or a change in a tone, or an instruction in a letter, or things like that don't have to be expensive, but you see the impact straight away. Yeah,
exactly.
Fabulous. And we kind of talked about agility before as well, and the kind of agile frameworks, and that ability to do small things as well, and that flow of feedback. So it all kind of fits into that framework too. And obviously Peachy Mondays are in the business of feedback, so that's kind of where we fit into this, and the how we use continuous feedback to help inform the employee experience, but we could also use that to definitely help inform the customer experience as well. I think that's what we were going to cover today, Greg. So I thank you very much for your time and experience and sharing kind of the practical tips as well. Is there anything else that is on your mind that you'd like to share on the customer experience / employee experience side of things?
You said something, working with the feedback, elaborating the feedbacks. It's extremely important not only to get feedback, but to create actions out of this feedback. And from these actions, you can create really value for the customer, value for the employees, having a positive impact. And this is what we all want to achieve.
Fabulous. And when everything is perfect, when every customer experience and employee experience is great, then we'll have no more complaint letters, which would be lovely. Great. Thank you so much for your time, Greg, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure to join this discussion. I hope that the audience enjoyed this discussion as much as I did. Thank you very much.
Thank you.